So I discovered my passion for filmmaking when I was in the 11th standard, and I realized that filmmaking is something that makes me happy. Now this was 2004. In 2004, we didn't have any DSLRs. We didn't have any regular cameras. All we had was those bulky handycams. You had to shoot on tape, and you had to transfer in real time. That means if you shot 1 hour of footage, all of that tape had to roll back for 1 hour, and the footage had to be transferred to your computer. And we had about 80 MB of space then, and about a 64 MB RAM. So you can imagine the odds of making films, digital films back in those days. But I was like, no, I want to make films. So I begged, borrowed, stole a handycam. I Googled whatever little knowledge was available in Google 13 years back about filmmaking, learned all of that, shot films, forced people into my films, learned how to edit, learned how to shoot, learned how to write, all by myself. But why did that happen? Because I was passionate about filmmaking, right? That is what will happen with you. When you get really passionate about something, you'll actually end up doing everything on your own. You will not have to wait for somebody. So find that thing, and it's not that that thing can be found very easily, but you have to keep looking. Once you discover your passion, right, then it comes to point number 2, next slide please, which is basically, again, basically falling in love with your passion. So how many of you boys have had a crush on a girl here? What, nobody? Everybody has a crush on boys? That's alright, man. Totally fine to have a crush on a boy as well. Come on, boys, let's see the show of hands. You guys have crush on some boys? They never had a crush on girls? So what happens when you have a crush on a girl? Right? You suddenly start stalking her on Facebook. You want to send that add friend request. And then all your friends are like, dude, send the request, man. I'm telling you she's going to accept. Right? And you're suddenly watching Titanic again with you want to be Jack and you want to save Rose, and you're listening to romantic music. Suddenly you're listening to Arjit Singh, where you assume that you've already dated your crush and broken up with her, and now you're listening to Arjit Singh because you're feeling the pain. Right? So I had similar instances in college as well. I had a crush on this girl when I was in college, and rule number 1, when you have a crush on somebody, do not ever tell your friends about it, right? So I made the mistake of telling my friend that I had a crush on this girl, and that's it. They went mad. They were like, we have to do something about this, right? So we figured, I mean not me, my friends figured that she walks down the corridor every day for a class between 9 to 10, right? Sorry, 9 to 9:15. So we figured that, I'm going to walk right in front of her, and then I crash into her, and the books will fall, then I look into her eyes. And music will happen, and then suddenly we'll start dating and we'll get married, right? So that was the plan. Now, these are engineers being engineers, so a lot of plans were made, a lot of charts, equations, what should my speed be, what should the acceleration be. They studied more for this one project than all their exams combined. And then, obviously, since I told you not to tell your friends, the whole college got to know that, I had a crush on this girl, and I'm pretty sure she knew as well. And the day that the event was supposed to take place, basically the entire college was standing on each side of the corridor, right? And I was looking to my friends and I was like, dude, there is no way I'm going to do this. What's wrong with you? The whole college is here. And I'm pretty sure even the principal was trying to get a sneak peek to this, right? But they were like, no, dude, we've spent so much time and effort on this, and you have to do it, and you can't back out now. There's too much at stake here, and I'm sure there were bets going on and all of that. So the time came, and it was like 9 a.m., and I was given the number of steps I'm supposed to take, and the direction I'm supposed to walk, the velocity, the wind, and all of that. And then I saw her walking, and I was like, wow, and I just completely forgot about everything, and I started walking so fast that I rammed straight into her, and I ran away, right? I never spoke to her ever again in my college. But what am I trying to say here? Is that when you're passionate about something, your personality changes, right? It's like when you have a crush on a girl. Suddenly you become a different person, right? You start taking risks, you start watching movies, you start listening to music, you start doing things your mind never did before. That is what happens when you find your passion. Your body and your mind actually changes. You have to realize that the human brain is capable of anything if it's utilized even for a 0.01%. And that is what happens when you find your passion. Your brain suddenly gets utilized for that extra 0.01%. That extra 0.01% is what made Sachin Tendulkar. That extra 0.01% is what made Alex Stein. That extra 0.01% is what made anybody else. It's about acting on that 0.01%. It's about saying, oh, this is what my passion is. I'm going to live, breathe, sleep. Like how you're always thinking, eating, sleeping about your crush, right? And you're not thinking about anything else. The same thing, the same obsession. If you're obsessed about something, and if you do that for 10,000 hours, you guys know the 10,000 hour rule, right? So the 10,000 hour rule is basically, if you're obsessed about something for 10,000 hours, you become a master in it. Anything in the world. If you practice that one skill for 10,000 hours, you become a professional, extremely good at it. But that can only happen if you're obsessed about it. So point number one, try to figure out what your passion is very honestly. And point number two, fall in love with your passion. Because once you do, your body will automatically start learning a lot of things. Like I told you, until I was 22, I didn't know anything about filmmaking, entrepreneurship, public speaking, writing a book. But that 0.1% changed everything. I had zero skills, zero knowledge. I was failing. Everything was completely off. But that 0.1% can change everything. Point number three is start failing. This first happened in engineering. Yeah. So a very cool incident. Has anybody studied network analysis here? Oh man, I feel bad for you guys. So I had the dubious honor of writing network analysis 4 times. Basically, so in VTU in Karnataka, you have internals and externals. Internals are out of 25, and the externals are out of 50. Basically, if you get 50 out of 125, you pass, right? In the internals, I got an average of 12, which is stupid. I should have got 15. And in the externals, you have to get 35 to pass. So 35 plus 15, 50. You pass, right? Now, VTU is a very lenient university. So if you get 27, they usually make it 35, right? Because they think you're at least smart enough to have gotten a 15 in the internal, right? But I wasn't even smart enough to get a 15 in the internal. So network analysis happened, and the first time I got about 5 out of 125. Then the second time I got about 20. Third time I was like, man, this is enough. I'm going to pass. Like, this is way too much. So I study properly. I go to the temple 3-4 times, just making sure that this time I'm going to pass. The exam comes and all of that, and in engineering, you know how much you can score, right? There's only yes or no. So I knew I'd get 27. So I thought he'll make 35. And he made it 35, but I had 12, so I failed by 2 marks. So now the final time, right? And then now the principal tells me that if you don't pass this time, there's no hope, right? He calls my parents and all of that. And I'm like, shit, this is my mission now, right? And you've seen in the movie, right, where a guy, gets ready to fight the villain, wakes up early every morning, starts exercising and starts preparing to fight the villain. I'm like waking up every morning, trying to study and all of that. I studied 1 whole month only for network analysis, not any other subject. Then the exam comes, and I know for a fact I'm going to get 27 again. Right? So I write a really long note to the examiner at the end of the paper. And I start with by drawing his feet and putting flowers there. So it looks like I'm touching his feet and all of that, even before telling him what. So I'm like, dear sir, this is my final chance, and my parents are going to throw me out of the house, nobody will marry me, and all of that. Please pass me in this exam, my life is in your hands. And in order to make the note a little longer, I even wrote something from DDLJ right in the middle. So it seemed like I made an effort to write a long note. And then, then I usually saying anything about India really helps. So I signed off saying Jai Hind, India is the best, all of that, right? But he failed me. But what I'm trying to say is that the lesson that I learned about failing in network analysis 4 times is that it taught me not to be scared of failing. Till I failed in network analysis, I had never failed ever in my life. But when I failed in network analysis, once, twice, thrice, 4 times, I just became actually more confident about myself. I realized nothing bad happened once I failed, right? Like, I didn't die, or my parents didn't throw me out of the house, or my relatives did not commit suicide. But nothing really bad happened. And this ability to take in failure is very important. Because if you're going to run a startup, or if you're going to work in a big company, or if you're going to be a manager or a CEO, you're going to fail every minute, right? Out of 100 successes, there'll be 1,000 failures. So if you do not imbibe that feeling of failure now, it'll be very difficult to understand what failure is later on. That then every time you fail, you're going to be dejected, you're going to be disappointed. But rather, if you learn about failing now, I do not mean start failing in your exams right now, okay? I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm saying is, if you really imbibe the feeling of failure in yourself, you'll always look at the positive side of it and always try to learn from it, right? And especially when you're following your dreams or your passion and whatever you want to be it an entrepreneur or a writer or a CEO of a company, it's very important to understand that failing is not bad. Only failing leads to success. And this is written in every scripture in the world, that without failing, there can never be a success. So always remember that failing is not bad. It's only in India that failing is considered a taboo. Anywhere else in the world, they glorify failing. Because you become 10 times stronger when you fail. So please remember that failing is not bad, right? As long as you've given it your best, always try to find the most good things in failing rather than the bad things. Point number 4 is, don't tell your parents that. So, when I wanted to be a filmmaker, I told my mom and her best friend Aunty that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and this is the expression they gave me. They were like, "What?" So what I'm trying to say is that, see, our parents want the best for us. You have to understand, our parents have gone through a lot to get us to this stage. They have seen an India that you and I haven't seen. They have seen times that you and I haven't seen. They have put in their blood, sweat and tears to get you through college, to get you to this stage. And they don't want you to see you fail, man. It's very important. And they don't want you to throw away your life or career. So you have to understand where our parents come from. They're completely right. Because they have seen a lot and they know, what life is. So never disregard your parents. But I have to say this, that if you want to be somebody, don't go and tell your parents that you want to be someone. Go become that person and tell them. For example, if you want to be a writer, open Microsoft Word, put in 50,000 words, print that damn novel, give that novel to your dad and say, I'm a writer. If you want to be a filmmaker, take a handycam, make films, upload that on YouTube, show your dad that you're a filmmaker. If you want to start your own tech company, open your laptop, start coding. That's what Zuckerberg did. He just had a laptop and nothing else. Start coding, create your startup with your friend. Go to your dad or go to your mom and say, I have a startup, right? And give me 1 year, let me prove myself. But don't go and tell them, I want to be someone. Obviously, they're going to get scared, right? Because they will have no faith in you. But if you're going to do that thing and then say, hey, guess what? I've already done it. All I need is some time from you. All I'm asking is a year. Give me a year to prove myself. And if I don't, then I'll get back to doing whatever I have to, right? Give me a year to become an entrepreneur. Give me a year to do this or give me a year to do that. But do that. You know why? Everything can be learned on just one platform. That's Google. Anything you want to be is only Google. Anybody in the world you want to be is Google. So if you're not that person by the time you're going to ask your parents, then don't ever try it. Because that means you're really not passionate. And that means you're really not hardworking. And that means you really don't want to achieve anything. But if you want to be anything in the world, Google it out. Spend 1,000 hours studying it. Become that person and then go to your parents saying, guess what? I am this now. And all I need is some time and I'm going to prove it to you. And if I can't prove it to you, I'll get back to doing what I want. Right? So remember that. Next point, obviously, is point number 4, confidence. This was when I was your age. When I was in the 4th year of engineering, I was directing Mr. A.R. Rahman in a music video. Next slide. And this was when 1 year later, when I was 21, I was directing Preeti Zinta in a music video. She has that look on her face because she can't believe I'm the director. She's like, who the hell is this kid and what is he telling me and why am I even doing what he's saying? Can you imagine how scary it is? You're 21 and you're directing the crush of your life. I mean, then obviously now she's not ready. But what I'm trying to say is that you have to believe that you're the king of the world. And only you can believe that. I could have gone, one sec, please go back to the previous slide. I could have very well gone into this shoot scared and believing that I don't have anything to do with it, and I would have screwed up. But no, I went in thinking that I'm the boss. This is a big Bollywood movie star. The previous one won 3 Oscars, but I'm like, no, I'm the director. I'm supposed to tell them what to do. How does that work? So I follow a very simple technique. It's called 20 seconds of courage, right? So what is 20 seconds of courage? 20 seconds of courage is your brain decides in the first 20 seconds whether it's going to be scared or something or not. And in those 20 seconds, your brain decides whether it's actually going to stand up to something or not. It's a line from a very famous book called We Bought a Zoo, which got made into a movie. In the movie, Matt Damon is walking down the street and he sees this really pretty girl sitting in a coffee shop. And he's like, wow, that's a really pretty girl. I should walk up inside the coffee shop and say hi to her. And that's when he says 20 seconds of courage. He has 2 options. Walk up straight, nothing happens. He saw a pretty girl in the coffee shop. Or go inside and say that she's pretty. Maybe something can happen. He said like 20 seconds of courage. 20, 19, 18. By number 10, he's inside the coffee shop. 6, 5, he's running out of time. And number 2, he walks up to her and says, hey, listen, I was just walking down the street and I saw you and I thought you're really pretty and I just wanted to say hi. Turns out the girl was also having a really bad day and she looks up to him and says, that's the nicest thing anybody has told me all day. Would you like to join me for coffee? And they end up dating and they end up falling in love and they end up getting married. Do not try this in India, you'll get slapped so hard. But what I'm trying to say is that this 20 seconds of courage thing works. This 20 seconds of courage thing is very important. It actually works. This 20 seconds of courage tells if, for example, if I ask one of you, a random person, to come up on stage and speak for 5 minutes, automatically you're going to be like, shit, I can't, right? But if you stand up and say in 20 seconds, you're like, no, I'll do it. It'll happen. Trust me, it'll happen. For 20 seconds, if you keep telling yourself it's going to happen, you'll be surprised how actually confident you become. And that's what I did here. I was shitting in my pants because these are like the biggest stars that I look up to, and I'm supposed to tell them what to do, and I'm like 20 seconds, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be confident, and I'm going to walk up to them, and I'm going to say, you know what, this is what is supposed to be done, and I'm going to scream and shout at them so they think I'm the boss, and it actually works. It works. If there's ever a situation where you screw up, if there's ever a situation where you're scared, just start counting 20 seconds. And in those 20 seconds, keep telling yourself, I'm going to do this, And you'll be surprised how confident you end up becoming. Point number 5 is have no fear. This usually starts with this, right? Big disclaimer, I'm not supporting drinking or anything like that, and I'm not advertising Kingfisher or anything. But I've just heard from the fine gentleman here that Aurangabad is the biggest brewery in India. So I can imagine what you guys do after college. So what I'm saying is, that's a very ironic image. You know why is that image so ironic? Because that's the only thing that helps us lose fear. And that's sad. Right? Has anybody seen Game of Thrones? Right? And all because I lost my fear. But it's only later that I realized that I didn't lose my fear because of alcohol. I lost my fear because of this one truth, that in the next 100 years, everyone here is going to be dead. Everyone here is going to be beneath the ground. Every living human being on this planet, the next 100 years is going to be dead, except for a few Japanese, right? But everyone is going to be dead. In the next 40 to 50 years, all of us are gone. Like that. Nobody will remember us. These seats will be occupied by somebody else. Nobody will remember that you once occupied this seat. Except your closest family member who will pass on to a generation, you won't remember anybody. Do you even remember your ancestors from 3 generations up? No, right? Vanished. Finished. No trace of them. I don't even know who my great-grandfather was. None of you all even know who your great-grandfather was. All it takes is 3 generations to have your name completely wiped out of this planet. That's it, 3 generations. That's how close to death you are. And that's how much little time you have on this planet. And if that's the truth, then why do we be scared? What's the point of being scared? What's the point of living a life in fear? Because if we cannot do what we truly love, and if we cannot leave a mark, and we cannot create an impact on this planet by the time we die, then what's the point of living at all, right? 3 generations, that's all you have. Just make sure that whatever you do with your life, your name runs on for generations to come, not just 3. So it's very important not to have fear because of one singular truth, that we are all going to die. And that is a fear enough thing to make sure that you're never scared about anything again in your life. Point number 6 is a very famous point. It's Aunty. So we all have Aunties in our life, right? Does anybody have their Aunties in your life? Nobody? And why do we care about Aunty, right? Because we care about what people think about us. But while you care about what other people think about you, those same people are basically caring about what other people think about them. So everybody's just basically caring about what each other thinks about you. Like, bro, what do you think about me? Hey, what do you think about me? And everybody's like, shit, you're thinking this about me. And I'm like, oh, you're thinking that about me. But actually nobody gives a damn, right? Nobody has the time to think about you, except themselves. So stop getting worried about what other people think about you, because they're not thinking about you, right? And the most important thing, stop giving a damn about your relatives, right? Why do you care about your relatives? Why does your relative decide who you have to get married to? I cannot believe that exists. Imagine you're going to spend 50 years with a boy or a girl and your relative decides whether that boy or girl is right for you or not. Why does your relative decide which job you need to get? Why does your relative decide, how you're supposed to live? It's your goddamn life, right? You know what's funny? Indians, at the age of 18, are allowed to decide the future of this country. But even at the age of 40, cannot decide the future of themselves. You can vote at 18, but you can't tell anything to your parents. Now, I'm not saying that don't listen to your parents. Your parents are always right. Listen to them, take their advice, take their judgment, because they're far more experienced. But in the end, you have to decide for yourself. You have to decide what you really want in life. And if you don't, man, then you got to live with that harsh truth all your life. Imagine living with one really evil woman or an evil guy for the rest of your life. So please make sure you take your life decisions based on what you think is right. Do not take your life decisions based on what your relatives think is right. Next point is don't run after money. This is very important. I'm going to tell you a little story about this. So this is my friend Vicky Roy. He was born to a very poor family in Delhi. He ran away from home at the age of 18 because he used to get beaten up by his parents and family. He went to the New Delhi railway station and he worked as a rag picker. He used to basically collect those empty water bottles and sell them for 1 rupee each. At the end of the day, he would make 10 rupees and buy some vada pav or something and eat. That was his life for about 3-4 years. Then an NGO found him and they offered him a job to carry tripods, the tripod stands for cameramen. That's when he became fascinated by photography. He was like, wow man, you can tell an entire image. You can tell an entire story with just one image. And he's like, I need to learn photography. A big dream for somebody who did not even have a roof above himself. But he's like, no, I'll learn photography. 1 year later, a German photographer came to India and Vicky was assigned to carry his tripod. And he pestered that German photographer to teach him photography. Interestingly, the German photographer did not look at Vicky as a rag picker. He looked at Vicky as a human being, which no Indian looked at him. All Indian photographers looked at him as a rag picker. But the German photographer does not distinguish. He looked at Vicky as a human being. So he decided to teach him. And he was in India for about a year. And for that entire year, every day, for 2 hours, he would teach Vicky photography. Considering Vicky didn't know any English, and the German guy didn't know the language that Vicky spoke, it was very difficult for them to figure out what each other was saying. But that's the beauty about art, that you don't need a language to explain it. Eventually Vicky learned photography. He would then save that money that he would sell those empty water bottles for almost a month so he could rent a camera, so he could shoot images on his own. He couldn't afford a camera, right? So he would forgo meals so he could just rent a camera. Cut to 4 years later, Vicky was one of the 6 photographers across the world invited to shoot the reconstruction of the World Trade Center in New York, invited to have tea with the Queen in Buckingham Palace, and is now one of the top photographers in India and makes close to 10 lakh rupees a month. That's a story that if you are really passionate about something, you can be a nobody. You can have no parents, you can have no roof above your head, you can have no support system, no schooling, no knowledge. But if you use that 0.1% of your brain, anyone can become anyone. The next point. Point number 8 is to be stupid. right? Has anybody told you to be stupid? No, I'm telling you to be stupid. Because being stupid really helps, right? Being stupid actually makes a lot of difference. My biggest stupidity is this. And it turned out to be my biggest gift. So, I used to hate this character called Aunty, who was in my life always. So I decided to write a few blogs about Aunty on Facebook. Then, a lot of people connected with this. So somebody said that you should write a book about your aunt. Now imagine if I'm your friend in college, and I come and tell you, hey bro, what do you think? I'm going to write a book about my aunt. It's a stupid statement to make, right? That sounds very kinky as well. But what I'm trying to say is that it's a very stupid idea to write a book about your aunt. But I was like, screw it, I'll write it. It's the stupidest decision I've ever taken in my life because I'm not a writer. I don't even know how to form good sentences. I'm very bad at spelling. But I was inspired enough to write my book. It takes 50,000 words to write a book, and I have no idea how I wrote those 50,000 words. And it had about some 10,000 spell checks. And I think the whole thing was grammatically wrong. And I sent it to the first publisher. So I went, took a printout, sent it to the first publisher that showed up on Google. Spiral bound it, sent it to them. A month later, they wrote back saying, hey, we want to publish your book. And I was like, no wonder Chetan Bhagat gets published, right? Because if I can get published, anybody in the world can get published. So imagine, I take the stupid decision to write a book which is probably the most grammatically wrong book ever written in the history of books. My English teacher probably had a heart attack after reading it. But it suddenly became impactful. A lot of people read it. Have any of you all read it? Yeah, a few people here have read it. But I remember this one uncle walked up to me and he said, your book helped my son not to commit suicide. He was on the verge of severe depression because he loved music and his parents had forced him to do something else. But they didn't know how to communicate with him and he didn't know how to communicate back to them. Lost in words. He read the book and the book gave him a new life. He got out of his depression. He finished his degree and he got into music, and that uncle sent me a really good heartfelt note. And numerous stories like that where people started their own companies, people raised, and some of these people have raised millions of dollars after reading the book because it helped them really go ahead and do their thing. But the greatest thing was, one day I get a call from the director of Dangal, Techical, and says, hey, is it okay if I make a movie on your book? And I was like, what? Are you serious? Dude, you just made Dangal and you want to make Aunty as the next movie? He's like, yeah. And Siddharth Roy Kapoor, who's the biggest producer in Bollywood, and Nitesh Tiwari are now, and Ronnie Screwvala are now making Aunty into a major Bollywood film. Imagine. Be stupid. Really. Trust me. This is an example of being stupid. And it really, really helps. My last point, even though it's a 9 point, it's called YOLO. Anybody knows YOLO? You only live once, right? So why is YOLO important? Not because of the word and because it sounds cool, but think of it as from a mathematical perspective. So we're going to end on some sort of a mathematical perspective about life, right? Okay, let's assume that Aurangabad, no, let's assume that the whole of everybody knows that the universe is infinite, right? Yeah, that's a given, right? The universe is infinite. That's been established. Let's assume that the entire country of India is the universe. Can you do that for scale? Yeah? So the whole of India is the universe. And this one speck of dust, that's planet Earth. Yeah? Is that on scale? So the entire country of India is the universe. This one speck of dust is where you live. This is planet Earth. As of now, the only place where life exists. Pretty much. So out of the entire country, one speck of dust is where life exists. Right? Now assume that all the species and all the animals and all the plants and every living form is again the country of India. Right? Can you assume that? Take one speck of dust. That's the Homo sapiens, the human species. Yeah? Can you believe the mathematical probability of you being this speck of dust? Can you believe the mathematical probability? Of the entire country, you end up being in that one speck of dust. Of all the species available on that planet, you end up being that one speck of dust that can dream, that can think, that can invent, that can travel, that can love, that can do 100 different things. Can you believe the mathematical probability? We're all engineers, right? So think of this from a mathematical perspective. Can you believe what a mathematical miracle you are? Can you imagine the number of equations that should have taken up place for you to have been born as a human being? Can you imagine that? That's who you are. So behave like one. Don't behave like a robot. You have a life, you have a brain, you have a heart. Follow it. Do what you truly love, because that's what we've been sent here for. And trust me, that they say life is a miracle, well, it is. I just proved it to you. Mathematically, it is a fucking miracle. So go out there and follow your dreams. Do whatever you want. Because life is short. And we are, all of us, every one of us, is a miracle. Thank you.